Hello, this is Anna Marie Askin Evans, and welcome to our YouTube channel, the Center for Holistic Psychotherapy. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist, and our channel has what we provide is content that is considered a psychoeducational model. It is not therapy. So we encourage anyone who is tuning in that if you find yourself or know someone who is in need of mental support, please go to your local provider in your area. You can always go on psychologytoday.com and put in your zip code, and a list of local providers will come up. Today, we're completing our series on resilience, and we are so excited to have our guest, Dr. Ethel. Dr. Ethel is very familiar with our topic. She has lived it and talks about it with her audiences, from homeless to homeowner, from failing business to flourishing business, from consultant to coach, and from depressed to dynamic, all within a few short years. She is the founder of Dr. Ethel Speaks, a motivational speaking practice that inspires her audiences to be their best selves. She holds 3 degrees and is certified in church consulting and nonprofit leadership excellence. But she is quick to say that her experiences were the best teachers. She freely shares some of her experiences with her audiences. And today we are so excited to have you, Dr. Ethel. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us about resilience. How are you doing today? Good?
I am great today. In
Good.
fact, I am excellent.
That's wonderful.
And thank you so much, Anna Marie, for inviting me to share in this conversation.
Well, we're happy to have you. So, our series is on resilience. So the first question that I wanted to ask you is, what does resilience mean to you?
Well, resilience to me means overcoming, surviving, recovering from difficult challenges. The way I remember it and keep myself focused on its meaning is to have created the acronym BANG, B-A-N-G. And it helps me to know that the B means for bouncing back from the challenges.
I like that.
The A means affirming my ability to recover.
Love it.
And the N means never, ever again giving up. And G, which is the most important of all for me, means gratitude. Giving thanks for having gone through those challenges, but giving thanks also and being grateful for having come through those challenges. So that's what it means.
I think that's wonderful. I love that. So it tells me that there's probably been some times in your life where you have found yourself in a position where you had to show your resilience. Do you care to share a little bit of that with us?
Well, of course, resilience, as I said, I came through it with a bang. And to me, that coming through it with a bang meant that I took out of my thinking any of the negative things that were holding me back. I came from being homeless to homeowner in 7 months.
Oh my goodness.
I started, during that time, I started a new business. I began building my bank account again. I have a stock portfolio again. And so those things said to me, you can survive, you can recover. And what do I attribute that to? My resilience. Now, I have had many experiences, and the most recent of them, not most recent, but the last really great challenge I've had, I quit a very well-paying job to work in the church full-time.
Okay.
And after 17 years of working in that job, I was pushed out of that job because the new leader wanted his own people to come. Now, was I crushed? I was. I was in a daze. I was depressed. I was in despair and destitution for years.
Oh.
And I didn't know you then. So I had to pivot
Sure.
and come out of that situation, and I came out of it with a bang.
I love that, bang, and I'm so glad that you saw that you had this ability. Here you gave up an important job or a well-paying job
Mm-hmm.
to do something that sounds like was really meaningful
Mm-hmm.
to you as
Mm-hmm.
well. So tell us how you then became a motivational speaker, and who's your audience that you speak to?
At the beginning of COVID, I was about to start again a church consulting practice. Well, of course, in church consulting, you have to meet with people, you have to gather people,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't able to do that. Therefore, when I began to determine what's next for me, I realized that I have this speaking skill. Of course, I learned to speak at one of my degrees. Two of them actually focuses on speaking. So I said, all right, let me use that talent to start a business and help myself while I help other people. And of course, that's what I most want to do, help others. So that's how the Dr. Ethel Speaks came into being. I decided that's the business for me. Now, how did I go about preparing myself for this? Well, you really don't do things alone. Other people must help you do whatever it is you're going to do. So I hired two coaches. One was a success coach, and the other was a speaking coach.
Prepared yourself then
Yes.
too. What I hear too is that you're practicing what we call some of the 7 C's of resilience. Contribution, connection, developing your own coping skills, and taking control of your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fascinating. So your story keeps living on for other people now. So tell us a little bit about who your audience is. Who are you trying to reach? And if you can share maybe some of their successes when it comes to resilience.
My mantra is you're never too old to start over. It is never too late to pursue a better life. And there is no such thing as too big a dream. So my audience primarily are people like me who are older and who might be thinking, I'm too old to start anything again, or nobody is going to hire me at this age. So what I say to them is what I just said to you. You're never too old to start again. And in fact, if nobody hires you, hire yourself.
I like that.
So my audiences are people who are older, and who still have skills and abilities that they can share. I encourage my audiences, one, to remain healthy, and two, to always keep learning. I love it when I see, and especially in a one-to-one situation, when I see the light comes on. You know, I I I just really am so happy. One person told me, "Oh my goodness, I can do this," because I build confidence in them.
Mm-hmm.
And because sometimes you have to regain your confidence. Well, not sometimes, but all the time, if you expect to be resilient, if you expect to overcome. So that's one um, example, seeing the light come on and having that person say, I believe I can do this.
I think that's wonderful because, and we teach this so much about our innate drive to create value, and that it's never too late to do that. There's always that opportunity. So when a person reaches a certain age, it's almost like they have to redefine who they are. What are some stories or experiences you've had with clients or people that you know that you've actually seen them okay, redefining themselves, whether they were retired, whether they were widowed, whether they had other, physical limitations. So I'm just curious how, what your experience is with that.
Let me give you one example. Some years ago, I met a person who has become a really good friend. She was an administrative worker,
Mm-hmm.
and she had retired. And she said, I've always wanted to go back to playing the piano. Now, you've got to understand that this woman was in her early 60s, and she had been away from really playing classical music for a number of years, even though both of us were musicians in churches. Well, she decided, and I encouraged her, to return to her classical roots.
Mm.
And maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, she did her birthday classical concert. And she has done one every 5 years since.
Goodness.
She will be 85 soon and will be doing another one.
That is wonderful. And she must be so fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Right? And so changing the sort of the narrative of our lives can help too. Let me ask you a question on, some of the words of wisdom or advice that you give people when they say that word that's not allowed in my office, which is, I can't.
Taking from my own experiences, where I turned a very terrible situation into terrific survival.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. You can turn terrible situations into terrific survival, and you can thrive after you've done that. The other thing is, I was so prideful in my homelessness that I did not want to tell anybody, because everybody thought that I always had it together. I was always the one who was well-mannered, well-dressed, well-spoken. So nothing was going on in my life according to others. But what I say to your audience is, don't let your pride hinder your progress.
That's great.
Don't let your pride hinder your progress. There is nothing that you cannot do. That's a positive, right?
Absolutely.
You can do whatever you want to do in your life, whether it is getting more happiness, more income, more monies for traveling, whatever it is. There is no such thing as I can't.
I agree. So wholeheartedly. I knew just when I met you, I was so excited to have you come on, because this really, really aligns with what we try to do at our center, which is teaching our clients that regardless of what adversity, whatever life has thrown at them, whatever choices they may have made that have, gotten them in a situation, that there's always ways of making it better and creating and doing more and believing that you can.
Yes.
And we say what the mind believes it can achieve.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me that you just kept going and going and going.
Yes.
So when the going got tough, or what besides Bang, which I absolutely love, were there any other secret little nuggets you can share with our audience on what helped you move forward?
Well, I am a woman of faith, and that has been the undergirding support for me throughout this process. Even in my depression, and I did things while depressed that were irrational. They were out of character for me, but I didn't see that at the time. So the toxic relationships that I got into, I sort of prayed myself out of out of them because I am this woman of faith, and kept realizing, wait, you should not be in this situation that you're in. Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
So it was my thinking
Mm-hmm.
that got me to realize that, thinking got me into this mess, so thinking has to get me out of it. And that's when I hired what I call my success coach. I also called him my thinking coach because we went through a program that taught me to think and change my thinking. So being a woman of faith, I believe, led me to that person that led me to right thinking, and that led me to, okay,
here you are. And look at you now. And this is something that I think is so important for our audience to understand, is that we do have the ability to overcome. Reaching out to a community, when you're talking about the pridefulness, and sometimes it takes us a while to get there, and this is why I so encourage our audience to reach out to different professionals in our area. And so with that said, tell our audience how they can get a hold of you.
I can be reached at hello@drethelspeaks.com. That's hello at DRETHEL speaks.com. And my website is www.DRETHELspeaks.com.
That's wonderful. And we're going to have her information at the end of the segment. I can't thank you enough for coming, but before we, conclude the segment, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience about moving forward in life?
Well, I would just like to reiterate, because you can come out of a difficult challenge with dynamic results. You also come out with a bang.
I love that.
Remember that. Bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
Affirm your ability. Never, ever give up. And give thanks. Have an attitude of gratitude. And the last thing is, don't let your pride hinder your progress.
I love, so Dr. Ethel speaks. You speak beautifully and so eloquently, and what you have to say is such a gift to all of us. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here and appreciate just telling your story, but also helping others, especially as they're going through that later transition in life as well. So we're going to put Dr. Ethel's information down below. Remember, too, that if you are struggling with any kind of mental health, please reach out to your local health providers, mental health providers, and remember that we also have a resource list at the end of our segment. Next series, stay tuned for July. We've got a little surprise coming up for you then, and please remember to like and subscribe. And until then, be well.